6 mistakes that I made in 6 years of doing media as missions. My name's Phil Dosa. Welcome to the channel. I have been doing media as missions the last 6 years. Since 2017, I've been working full-time with YWAM, and my full-time job has been doing media work. I do video. I do photography a little bit. I do a variety of things, but the main thing I do is video. And tonight on the stream, I'm going to be sharing some of the mistakes that I made. And these mistakes, several of them took me multiple years in ministry. Like some of them I didn't learn until 3 or 4 years into ministry. And I'm not going to say it's a waste of time, those years, because I learned these lessons, but also God obviously uses us despite our mistakes. But if I can help you guys out, if you're just getting into media, if you're doing it with a ministry, this video could be really helpful for you. Share it with somebody else you know that does media for a church, for a ministry, whether you're a missionary or not. I see these mistakes happening a lot, and they're mistakes that cost me a lot of frustration, a lot of time and energy, and expectations are huge. If your expectations are off, if you don't have perception about how things are going to play out, then you can get off track. You can miss what's actually going on. You can bail before you should. Just there's all kinds of stuff that can go wrong if you're not tracking the right way. So before we get into it, my name is Phil Dosa. My channel is all about going all in for Jesus. I, again, am a full-time missionary with YWAM, or Youth with a Mission. And this channel is about removing obstacles from your yes to Jesus. And I talk all about our journey in missions. This is not an expert opinion. This is more like I'm on the journey with you guys, and I'm learning and growing. And so I just wanted to share some stuff, some mistakes that I made, and some of the solutions I found for that. Number 2 is like what everybody does. It's what I see, every ministry I see out there that's making videos. It's what everybody's doing. Number 4 was the game changer for me, like completely shifted and helped me understand what I'm doing. And then number 6 was the biggest mistake I made in terms of expectations as when it comes to our foreign missions experience in Norway. It was the biggest lesson I learned there. And let's jump into it. Number 1 mistake is that I was an excellent videographer and I was an excellent editor, but I wasn't very good at writing. And the mistake I made was thinking that I could just be really good at filming and editing, and that I could not worry about the writing aspect of it. To be honest, it took me a couple years to even realize like what the writing aspect was. So you could split the journey of making a video, or making, I guess, anything, into 3 stages. There is pre-production, the part where you're writing out what you want. You're writing a script if you're making a movie, or you're writing out, kind of a plan for the content. This could be a storyboard. This could be a shot list. Writing, planning, preparing. And then production, which is the filming, when you actually get your camera out, your camera's rolling, you're doing a full day filming, whatever that is, that's the production. And then post-production is what you do when you sit down to edit. You get all that footage, you bring it in your computer, and you start to piece it together into a story. And in my time as a media missionary, especially the first 3-4 years, really it wasn't until last year, my 5th year, that I started to actually pay attention in any significant way to this pre-production stage. I spent most of my time worrying about filming and editing. And there's so much that you need to learn as a videographer to shoot excellent footage. You need a great camera. You need great audio. You need, to be a great editor. And that's what a lot of people talk about and think about when it comes to video. But the reality is that those 2 things are so much harder to do, and you get much worse results if you don't have an excellent pre-production process. You film way more than you should because you don't know what you're trying to get, and then your edit is a lot longer, and you're trying to make what you captured count, or make it into something good, because you didn't really understand what you were after. And I can't tell you how many times I'm editing a video and realizing I don't know what this video is about. I don't know what I'm trying to get it to say. I'm trying to take what's said and sort of make it fit into a story that I am deciding as I'm editing. And this is like the worst way to do video. Like, you're making your life so much more difficult. But what I realize as well is that I'm not very good at that pre-production part. That is actually a skill that you need to develop, just like the skill of filming and editing. You can make a great looking video, and this is what I did a lot. I remember when I was in Norway, I would make these videos, and the people that I made them for would be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's so great. They were super thrilled with the videos because they were high quality. They looked good. Honestly, like, even in some cases, if they're not high quality, like, people are just excited to have a video and you made it for them, and they're ecstatic. But the writing part actually comes down to this question of, what is this video going to do? Is it successful in helping this ministry? Does it help them accomplish what they want to accomplish? And you really have to realize that your goal as a videographer is primarily to please God and to be used by God in the kingdom. And you can't just make the guy who asked you to make the video happy and walk away and say that was a great success. It's got to be more than that. It's got to be something that you're able to actually do something in the kingdom through this video, and that requires writing, learning how to tell a story, learning how to really have a grasp on what you're aiming for, what you're wanting from your video before you turn the camera on. If you do that, you're going to be above and beyond most videographers I see doing media work, doing video work. And yeah, the goal is, again, not just to make your boss happy. The goal is to help your ministry, to help serve God, to serve his purposes. So that's number one. Number two, and this is the one I see everybody doing, is making promo videos. And yes, this is a mistake. I mean, I'm not saying that I never make a promo video, but promo videos are kind of like the default, the go-to. They're what everyone knows and everyone assumes you need. And I'm not saying that promo videos don't have a space. I just think most people don't understand that they need way more than a promo video, and they need something different than a promo video, really, to impact people, to draw people into what they're doing. And there's stages here to the buyer's journey that a lot of people don't grasp. When someone is engaging with your ministry, when they're thinking about you, they might not even realize that you exist. Like, the first stage of the buyer's journey, before you're going to buy a product from someone, you have to realize... You close the door when you leave, buddy? It's my son Elijah. They have to realize you exist first. Like, you're not considering buying a product from a company you've never heard of. And so the first stage of the buyer's journey is awareness. Do people even know that you exist? And after they're aware of you, then they might start to consider what you're selling or what you're offering, what your product is. And that consideration stage is identifying, well, what is the product? You know, is it a school? Is it a church service? Is it whatever? And in that consideration stage, there's a lot of questions that they're going to ask, like, what is this? How does this work? Who are you? What do you do? And finally comes the decision stage, and that's where they decide whether they're going to buy the product, attend the school, come to church, whatever the thing is that you're after. This is kind of marketing information here. And so if you're doing a promotional video, really what a promo video does is it takes an existing audience, people that already know you exist and are already kind of aware of you, and it helps give them information about, it could be the consideration stage or the decision stage. But most ministries are kind of using a promo video like they assume that's what is going to cause people to become aware of them. And the distinction here, what I would suggest doing to replace doing a promo video, is instead offering value. What kind of problems can you solve for your audience? What kinds of ways can you bring transformation to their life? Christians are used to a lot of talk, a lot of preaching, a lot of talking about the Bible, about the Word of God. We're used to sermons. And these sermons are not always transformative. And the reality is people want transformation in their lives. They want to be free. They want to understand who they are, who God is. They want to break free from wrong ways of thinking. And so they need transformation in their lives, and that's valuable to them. And so you telling them this is going to help your relationship with God, or this is amazing, it's essentially an ad. A promo video is essentially an ad, and you can use it to give information out to people. You need to close it?
Yeah, close it.
All right, go get in your bed.
Okay.
The joys of putting the kids to bed, and then they're not actually staying in bed. So, you really need to ask this question of like, am I actually helping people, or am I just pitching ads? Like, we could say all day long, hey, this is going to change your life, this is going to transform you, this is going to help you grow in your relationship with God, come to our school, come to whatever. And we can pitch all kinds of ads all day long. At the end of the day, are we actually giving people transformation? And the best way to grow an audience or get attention or grow your awareness online, and that's what you're trying to do with your ministry, is by offering value, is by giving insight, giving perspective. This type of value is what's going to draw people and get their attention. And once they have your attention, they start to understand who you are. They start to decide to follow you. From there, if you have an audience, you can then do a promo video. A promo video works really well if you've got, let's say, for example, a church or an email list or a group of people that already exist. They already care about you. They already value you. And you're letting them know about something you're doing. That's a promo video. If all you ever do is promo videos and you don't really have much of an audience, then the promo video isn't really reaching people. It isn't really getting out there. That's why your video's got 100 views, 200 views, because the people that know you already, maybe they clicked on it to watch it, and it's not really engaging in a new audience. And this is where I think a lot of people don't really understand the fact that they have to actually figure out, how do I get discovered? How do I get new people to become aware of my ministry? And ministries need that. Ministries need to have more awareness from the people that should care about them, do care about them. So number 3 is not picking an audience. This is a mistake that I made. I was trying to create content for everybody. I was trying to basically just do what would work for every single person out there. And in the end, when you try and make content for everybody... Sleep. All right, go to bed. Okay. Texting my wife to let her know that our little buddy's coming down here. If you're watching, let me know where you're watching from. Number 3, not having a clear audience. What happens here is you haven't pushed yourself to make a decision about who you're talking to. And when you're talking to someone in real life, you can see that person. You know who they are. It could be a group of people. And you get to know that group of people, and you get to see their faces and see their reactions. And you're aware that they're caring, that they're interested, or they're not caring. And you can adapt your message to engage them better. When you're talking with an online audience, a lot of times you can't get any feedback. Like even on this live video, I'm not getting any comments. If I post a video, that video, I might get comments afterwards. So you really need to understand, who is it that's going to watch this video? Like, who's the person that this video is going to benefit? Whose problems am I solving? If you try and solve everybody's problems, then again, you might have the people that know you really well. They might show up. But in the end, most people are only going to stick around for something that they perceive to be for them, to have value for them. You want someone to land on your ministry's YouTube channel, on your ministry's website, and say, this is my place, this is for me, and they're helping me, they're solving my problems, they're fixing things. And you can't help everybody. I mean, most ministries have 4, 5, 6 groups of people that they're trying to interact with, and they might not even have profiles on those groups. And in the end, online ministry or engaging with people online, you need to be more specific than that. I think a lot of people are actually, and this is what I did a lot, talking to themselves. They're talking to their situation, assuming that people are looking at life through their perspective. And if you're, for example, in ministry, if your full-time job is ministry, you're not talking to other people that are in full-time ministry. Typically, you're talking to people that aren't in full-time ministry. If you're a youth pastor, you're talking to people that are younger than you. And so if you're wanting to engage online, you need to talk to people, understand who you're talking to, and make sure that your message is engaging them where they're at. They're not going to watch your video because they're supposed to. They might go to your church because they're supposed to. They might sit in the pew because they're supposed to. They might show up because of social, connections. But if they're going to watch your video on their phone or on their laptop in their free time, it's going to be because you're helping them in some way. You're solving a problem for them in some way. And if you're not picking an audience, then you're not consistently solving problems for that group of people. And so you might have different people on every video, or you might have nobody on most of your videos. So that's number 3. Number 4, and this one is the big one, is not having a clear, defined goal. And this may seem kind of like, okay, cool, yeah, know your vision, whatever. I've heard this before, Phil. But this is where this connected for me. I was reading this book called Getting Things Done, and they use this analogy in this book that is like so many times I've been in this kind of environment with an individual or with a group where they were talking about, hey, when you get a group together and you say, okay, we're going to have a brainstorming meeting, we're going to discuss ideas. Does anybody have a good idea? The author of this book is talking about that if you haven't defined what your goal is, then you actually don't know how to say if something is a good idea or not. Because in the end, we're not just trying to be creative. We're not just trying to make cool videos. We're actually trying to do something. Video is a tool. Video is made to accomplish something. A tool is like a hammer. It's great at nailing nails into the wall or nails into a board. And it's not a very good tool for screws. You need a screwdriver for that. Video is a tool, and if that tool is not accomplishing anything, then you have a great video, but it's not helping your ministry. It's not helping you accomplish. It's not helping your ministry accomplish anything. And the problem here is that a lot of people actually are totally cool to have a tool on their wall, like me with this guitar back here. That guitar is broken, and the strings are all messed up on it, and I've got another guitar that I play, and that guitar up there on the wall, it's just there to look good. It's just there to be like, oh, I got a guitar. I like guitars. There are a lot of ministry leaders out there who will be perfectly happy to have a video like a trophy on the wall. It's not getting played. It's not being used. It's not being utilized. It just looks good. It gives them a sense of like, oh, I feel like I have authority, or I feel like I have credibility because I've got a nice looking video. But what is that video doing? What's the purpose of that video? What is it accomplishing? You can't even judge if your video is good or not, and you have a very little chance of actually succeeding in accomplishing your goal if you haven't defined it. So are you trying to win people to your cause? Are you trying to get people to attend an event? Are you trying to get people to change the way they think about something, to give money? These are all things your ministry might want to do, and you need to identify what are the goals and how do I measure those goals for my ministry. Because you could be making lots of videos that aren't actually helping your ministry at all. And unless you know what your goals are and you've defined those goals, not only will you not know if you're succeeding, like you don't have what you need to make the decision around what goes in the video or not. Editing, for example, is making a bunch of decisions about what goes in, what doesn't go in. You need something to help you make that decision. And if you don't know what you're trying to do, good luck. You're not going to be very good at making that decision. If you're trying to help a ministry grow in a certain way, you need to be able to see, is that video helping them grow in that way? And this plays even back down to the writing and the shooting. Are you actually capturing the footage you need? Are you actually writing out a plan that could accomplish that goal? And then you need to test it. You need to see if it worked. You need to measure afterwards. And so it's really easy to just make a video and it be really nice looking, sharp, crisp, you can hear it. And that might be a big challenge for you at first, but if you're really trying to utilize video for the sake of a ministry, you need to understand what that ministry is trying to do and how video plays into that. You can ask yourself a question here. Is this a hobby? Is this a passion project? Are you doing video because it's just fun to do? Or actually, are you helping this ministry? Are you being used by God in some way? Are you available to be used by God, be used by this ministry to proclaim the gospel, or to draw people into understanding a certain truth, or to help draw people into giving to your organization? Whatever the purpose is that you have, you don't want to in the end just feel good about the fact that you enjoy this process and everybody's happy about it because it looks good. You want it to actually do something for this ministry. So, number 5, looking to metrics as success. This is another mistake that I made. It's easy to look online and compare yourself to the big YouTubers, the person that you're inspired by. I was inspired by Casey Neistat early on, and you look at his videos and his views, and you say, man, my video is not succeeding. My channel is not reaching people. I get like on average maybe 50, 60 views per video. Some videos get 100, 200, 300 views. Occasionally I get a video that gets over 1,000. These are small numbers, and if you're starting out on YouTube, your numbers are going to be even smaller than that. You're going to reach 10 people the video, 30 people the video, 100 people the video. And what you have to realize is that your impact is not necessarily like 100 people doesn't feel like a lot of people as a number on a screen, but most churches are less than 100 people. Most churches are in that range. So you actually have the potential to reach a pretty significant audience, even if you're only reaching 30 people, 30 views on a video, 100 views on a video. If you had 30 people show up in a room and all listen to you for 5 minutes, you would think about what you were going to say. And so don't look so fast to metrics. The other thing about metrics is they're deceiving, because God is not necessarily just after views. Jesus didn't just chase people numbers in his ministry. He certainly at times had numbers show up, but there were times he just scared the numbers away, or he said no, or he focused on a small number of people. So recognize that, are you having an impact? Are you reaching the 12 that are showing up, the 5, the 30 that are showing up? Is there something there that they could be impacted by? Stop thinking so much about the numbers and understand that God is the one that you're trying to please in the end, and you need to understand what his perspective is, what he's focusing on. And the reality is that those views, a lot of times, they're an indicator of like a democracy. Like, views are, did people think your video was interesting? Did they like it? Did they want to watch it? And sometimes you make content that people don't want to watch. I mean, you look at the prophets, a lot of times they were speaking and nobody was listening. Nobody wanted to listen, but God was still sending them to speak. So the question is, are you accountable to God or to the people, to the views? And it's very easy, and this is what the world does, to appeal to people and to say what their itching ears want to hear. And in the end, you're appealing to their flesh. You're not actually edifying them, strengthening them, speaking to them. So recognize that people are not who you're after pleasing. It's actually God who you're after. And number 6, understanding the reality of time and resources in this area, really in any area of ministry. It's going to take time. It's going to take a commitment of time. It takes a couple of years for you to learn and grasp and put together the right resources. And then it takes a couple more for people to really understand you're there. And then it takes a couple more to realize you're not actually on the right track. That time is something you can't really skip. I mean, you can hire somebody that knows this stuff already, or maybe you already know some of it, and therefore you're a couple years into that timeline. But recognize the length of time that's required, and recognize that you're limited by your resources. You're limited by how many people you have. You might be watching a YouTuber out there who's got, exploding channel and they're making content all the time. One, ask yourself, is their content entertainment? How easy is it for them to produce? How fleshly is it? Engaging is it? And for a lot of people that are making really high quality, really engaging content, they either have a team around them or they're burning out to make that content. You see your favorite YouTuber making content consistently, and then they say, I need to take a break, and then they disappear for a year. This work takes resources. And the biggest mistake I made in expectations in Norway was thinking that I could do the work of 6, 7 people and make something that should take 2 years happen in 6 months. And I burnt myself out real fast. And so you have to understand that you have limited resources. Your vision tells you which direction to go in. And you might be thinking, I got to get to, X number of people, or I've got to grow in this number of ways, or I need to post this many videos. You got to look at your resources to figure out, what do I have? What can I sustain? Because long term is where you're going to succeed. You will reach a measure of success if you do this for 10 years. If you're faithful and consistent, if you continue to grow over 10 years, you will reach success. If your goal is to be on here for a year or two and blow up and reach a ton of people and, bust your butt and hope it works out, you can adjust and maybe it will work. But in the end, you're probably not going to see success until 4, 5, 6 years into your journey. You're going to take that time to learn and grow. Are you actually being called by God to come do this? Put in the resources, put in the time, make a long-term commitment. Don't tell people or tell yourself that you're going to succeed after a year or two. Have a longer vision than that. Recognize that long-term commitment is required, and you're not really going to see the reality of success right away. And even if you do, you're not going to be able to sustain it and be a healthy person unless you create the right balance, the right system, the right approach. So there you go. 6 lessons that I learned. 6 mistakes that I made as a missionary. Thank you guys so much for watching. Watch my video next on the biggest shift that's happening in Christianity since the Reformation. It might even be the biggest shift since Jesus founded the church. And you can click here to watch that video. Thank you so much for watching.